we'll go ahead and get started. People can trickle in. I'm just going to give a short intro. For those of you who were able to join last week, I hope you were able to find some new ways to nourish yourself this week. We got some great feedback of people incorporating different things that they could practice. For those of you who are joining for the first time, welcome. As you'll find, I will send out the video and resources after our call, so you can always go back again and watch that or send it along to others who you think could benefit. We are so lucky this morning to be joined by Edwin and Myoshin Kelley. They are both incredible people and really amazing instructors on the topics of mindfulness, meditation, awareness, and loving kindness. And don't worry, if you're totally new, they make it really accessible. And if you've been practicing for a while, I know you'll also get a lot out of it. Edwin and Myoshin have both been practicing and teaching for decades. Edwin went to his first retreat in Australia in 1975 and really has been traveling the world since, teaching and practicing himself. Myoshin as well has practiced many different styles of meditation, and they both really have been guiding students for decades. No matter what tradition or religion you practice, I've personally found that meditation and loving kindness practices are really accessible to everyone and can really be incorporated to help us live with more calm, ease, and joy, which, as we know right now, I think we could all use a little more of. Their teacher, Yongey Mingyur Rinpoche, has also worked with scientists worldwide to understand more deeply the effect of meditation on the brain, and has really developed some incredible practices that anyone can access. Before we jump in, just a few reminders. You can ask questions anytime through your question box, and I'll be looking through those. If there's anything I think is really timely, I'll ask those, but otherwise we'll hold those till the end and we can go through them then. No question is too little, so if you have anything, just hold on to it, and we'll be going through those again at the end. I also invite you to silence your cell phones and really give yourself the gift of being fully present for our time together with Myoshin and Edwin. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Myoshin and Edwin Kelley.
Thank you, Carrie. Really lovely to be here with all of you today and to be able to share something that has been so meaningful, helpful in my own life. And today we're just giving you a taste of meditation, but I know from my own life how important these tastes are. When I was 16 years old in a high school physical education class, there was one class during the year on yoga. And at the end of that class, the teacher did 1 minute of meditation. And I went home and started meditating. And it really has set the direction of my life. So I'm hoping that you can get some taste from today and have a bit of confidence to help you to really, if you don't already practice, to be able to look to an inner resource that we can all learn about and come back to, and is so supportive in this time of great turbulence on the planet. Actually, last spring, we both, Edwin and I, did get COVID, and at that time when I was really sick, and not that I was so sick that I was hospitalized, but sick enough, and just wondering, am I one of the people that is going to lose their life over this? And just the states of mind that come. I was just so grateful that I had some tools that I'd learned in my life about how to be with these states as they arose in my experience. And so, these are what we're learning today can seem really simple on one level, and yet it really has the capacity to transform the very way we live our lives. I think maybe just to spend a couple minutes talking about why we practice, that as a human being, life is not always easy, as we know, and that, without having a sense of how to work, how to be in our own life, how to be present in our own life in a way where we aren't swept away by the events of life, the people coming and going in our lives, by our own minds, to be able to learn to be really take our seat in life and not only find a calmness, a peacefulness that can naturally be present in how we meet life, but to be able to shine the light of awareness on the qualities within us that are naturally present, that help us to step into being the best that we can, really calling forth our qualities that help us live into the capacities that we were born with. I often think of meditation as coming home, coming back to ourselves, coming back to that deepest level of our own being, and doing so in really simple ways. And by doing so in the midst of the lives that we have. Often we think of meditation as something that you have to do in a really secluded environment, and certainly initially really helpful to do where it's a little bit quieter for short periods of time. But our imagination makes it something unattainable, something we can't do in our own life, where really there's a fundamental piece that comes with meditation that helps it to become a practice that we can do anytime, anywhere, if we have the training in that and know how to look in our own being. And so we'll talk a little bit about what the essence of that practice is. And we're going to do some practice together. There'll be time for questions. And Edwin will also shift the gears a little bit to help us discover the ways in which we can begin to see these qualities that are inherent within us come to light and that really take a place in our lives. How we can open our hearts and live with an open-hearted presence in our lives. So, hoping this sounds like it's of interest to you and something that you want to experiment with. And just to say with that, when I have found it really important in my life to find a kind of meditation that resonates with me. So different practices, different teachers have different emphasis. So please look around, find what works for you, what speaks to your heart, what helps you to really show up in your own life in a meaningful way. And so with that, I'm going to be giving the emphasis that comes from my teacher, Mingyur Rinpoche, that Carrie mentioned at the beginning. And what I've liked about what he emphasizes in practice is that we come back to what is really natural. We come home to a quality that is present in our experience that when we don't recognize isn't useful to us, but when we do recognize really does change the way that we live. And so the essence of meditation, as he teaches, is the quality of awareness or the natural knowingness that's in our minds right now. I mean, just as you're sitting here listening to me, do you need to do anything to know that you're hearing? Do you need to do anything to know that you're sitting? If we're undistracted, this knowing is really natural. It's here. And so this is the quality that we're going to practice with becoming more aware of in our experience. Because when we do that, we actually shift from being lost in our discursive minds, from being lost in thought in a conceptual world that isn't even really happening right now, to being present. And awareness in itself is really non-judgmental. It doesn't, it isn't reactive, and it just simply knows experience. And within that, there's a natural peace and calm. And so what starts to happen is if we've been lost in thought, and then we know that we're thinking, or as we're going to explore today, we know sensations in the body, then we're present. We know our experience right now. And so this is a way that we actually start to become present in the life that we're living, with life how it is in this moment. And this can just radically change how we live our lives. It shifts us from a sense of being caught up in the doing, being sense of caught up in our minds, to being present in life. It's a really kind of natural shift that just happens through being aware or knowing our experience in this moment. And so I want to do a short meditation now where we can experiment with this for ourselves. And as we do this uh, meditation, it's going to be focused on the body. And I'm going to begin with an exercise to just really help us get in touch with this quality of awareness, of knowing. And then we're going to actually use our body posture and use the experience of breathing as a way of simply being present and knowing our experience. So in itself, it's quite simple. That as we do this, I want to invite you to find a body posture where you feel supported by the earth. So if you're sitting on a chair, that your feet are on the ground, that your ankles, your knees and hips are in alignment, and where your spine is loosely up straight. And so, you don't have to be, holding yourself into what you think is upright, but just find a place where the spine, every vertebrae supports the vertebrae on top of that. And that there's a natural uprightness, the shoulders naturally open, but not a sense of holding, not a sense of tension within that. So finding a natural upright posture. And as we do the meditation, your eyes can be open or closed, whatever feels most comfortable for you. Very often, when we first learn meditation, we do it with closed eyes because we're used to being caught up in what we see. And so, what we're really turning to now is our inner world, how we're experiencing our life. And so, sometimes we close the eyes in the beginning, but really, practice does take us in the direction of being able to practice anywhere, anytime. So if it's more comfortable for us to sit with eyes open, that's perfectly fine too. And so this meditation will be for about 8 minutes, and I will lightly guide us through it. So finding your posture, excuse me. And just taking a moment to feel your body sitting, to know the experience of sitting. And we know this through the sensations we experience. Contact with the earth, hardness or softness. The sensations from the posture. There may be sensations of tightness, tension, holding. Or there may be lightness, vibrations, energy. Or the sensations of heat and cold, from the air on your skin. And thus establishing a sense of presence for just knowing that you're sitting. Feeling these sensations. And then just bringing your hands up and placing them together, and then rubbing your hands. Just rubbing your hands back and forth. And just feeling sensations that are present. Heat, warmth, roughness, softness. And the knowing these sensations is awareness. And then letting the hands come apart. Just knowing, feeling these sensations. This knowing is awareness. And then dropping your hands back down. And again, feeling your body. Knowing whatever sensations are present in your body. And then becoming aware of your in-breath and your out-breath as you breathe naturally, normally. And feeling or knowing this experience of breathing through the sensations. Maybe coolness, warmness in the nostrils, the chest expanding, the belly expanding, contracting with the exhalation. Just having a light awareness of the sensations of breathing. The in-breath and the out-breath. You may notice that you're suddenly lost in thought. You're somewhere else in your mind. Whenever you notice this is normal. And all you need to do in this moment is to recognize this and just gently connect again with the experience of breathing. As we breathe, we don't need to block other experiences. We can let them be in awareness. And then, when we have the choice, just simply connecting again with the experience of breathing. Just a light awareness, knowing of the experience of breathing. Just a sense of being present as you breathe. It's nothing fancy, just a simple presence. And then, to conclude the meditation, just for a moment, let go of awareness of breathing, of the body, and just simply be relaxed and present with whatever is happening. Okay, so that's a little bit about how we can practice. And it would be really great to hear from you. You might want to share something of your experience, if it stirred up any questions for you. And as Carrie said, no question is too small. Sometimes actually the most profound questions are just a simple sharing of our experience or question about it. And so we would love to hear from you. And I'd like to invite Edwin at this moment to just say hello. And um,
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you, Myoshin. I just want to echo what Myoshin says. Whatever, we'd love to hear some questions. How was that for you? Um, Often it's really good to, this is one way to kind of normalize our meditation experience. You know, we're here alone, just looking at our own mind, our own activity of our own mind, body. And we can imagine a whole bunch of things that may or may not be shared by others, but just talking about it really helps to normalize. what's happened. Is there anything coming in, Carrie?
Yep, there's one. So the question is, what meditation instructors do you recommend for daily practice?
What meditation?
What meditation instructors, or maybe what are some good resources for people who maybe want to start a daily practice? Where can they go?
Yeah. Actually, there will be a whole resource list that Carrie has put together that draws from a lot of different places. And one thing I would say that our teacher offers is an online program that you can do, that you do in your own time, that has takes you right through from the beginning, helps you establish a daily practice. There's teachings from him, there's guided meditations, you can ask questions in a forum, and that can really help you to set up a daily practice. So it's a great resource. It's on learning.tergar.org, and it's the Joy of Living program. But that really is systematic in how it goes through. And I think that is, if you're starting a practice, you want to set yourself up to succeed. It could be really easy to go to one meditation session and think, nah, that was too hard, doesn't work. And yeah, it could be hard because we're not used to being with our minds. We're not used to turning up in our inner world in this way. But if we have guidance and it gets normalized, as Edwin said, then we start to begin to see what it is we're actually doing. We clarify skillful means in training our mind, because that's what we're really doing. We're working with training our minds. And so, to have that be systematic can be really,
I think Myoshin's audio dropped.
really helpful.
And that also sets us up to succeed.
Yeah, you
You're
dropped off
cutting out there.
but I think we caught it. But just to echo the Joy of Living course, that it really is an amazing course. My husband Sam's done it. I've done a little bit of it, and it's just very accessible. Really, no matter what religious tradition you're a part of, it's a really wonderful practice if that's something that you connect with. And I'll be sending out other resources as well, as Myoshin said.
So just to build on that, the Joy of Living programs, there are 3, and it's kind of like a path of practice. There's actually a very short, and so the online programs of Joy of Living are a subscription. It's like a monthly subscription, but there's actually a free introduction to meditation that's like a 6 or 8 part class. I put the link in the chat box, the chat channel. I don't know whether everybody has access to that. You would have to create a profile on the Tergar Learning website, but it's free, and it'll give you a taste of Mingyur Rinpoche. It'll give you a taste of the practices. It's a great way to get started, actually, without having to make a huge commitment financially or personally, and give you a real strong taste of, even more of a taste or an additional taste to what Myoshin just gave us.
Sometimes another question is, feeling like they can't meditate because they can't silence their minds. Can you speak to that?
Yeah. One of the things that Mingyur Rinpoche is really clear about is we can practice anywhere, anytime. And I think one of the myths about meditation is that meditation is no thought, or an empty mind, or a still, calm, peaceful mind without without what he calls the monkey mind. When in actual fact, the way this tradition approaches meditation is we learn how to be aware of any experience, whether it's sounds, whether it's thoughts, whether it's physical sensations. whatever arises in our experience, we learn to embrace it and use it as support for awareness. And so that's what the approach on the cushion, and then similarly the approach off the cushion is whatever we encounter, whatever experiences we encounter in our everyday life, we use them to recognize awareness or support awareness or connect to our present moment experience with awareness. And if this is the way we slowly start to calm our mind, and our mind becomes more pliable and flexible, because we're no longer kind of in a reactive state to our experience. We're no longer pushing away what we don't like or clambering after what we do like. We just know what's happening. And it's very simple on some level, but of course it's not so easy to do because we have so much habits of engaging in our experience and getting caught up in our experience.
Yeah, that's great. One last question, and then I know you have a session you're going to be leading us in. But
yeah, we got
life is busy, right? So many things, maybe not as much right now, but in normal life. What does science tell us is the minimum amount of time that we want to meditate to get some of the benefits?
There has been a lot of research that's come out of the mindfulness-based stress reduction. And there is measurable results when someone practices for 20 minutes a day for 6 or 8 weeks, that there is something there that you can see shifts in the brain. What I also have heard from, this is not so much that I have the research that shows it, but from talking to people, like we had somebody within our community who was teaching meditation in a hospital, and they were doing it where they had kind of a 3-minute meditation at the beginning of a shift together. And then the feedback started coming from the people doing this, what an effect that was having on them throughout their shift. So, we do really begin to see as we practice that it changes. We begin to see this for ourselves, regardless of what science says.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm
That's
having
great.
difficulties here.
I think that's all. So I will Edwin, I'll let you kind of lead us through what we're going to be doing in the second half.
Okay. So our first half of this session, we've been focusing on awareness and opening our mind, connecting the knowing quality of our mind to our present moment experience. And one way I'd like to look at that is that an open mind is a kind mind. There's a way in which awareness is a kind way of looking at our experience. Myoshin mentioned in her introduction that awareness is non-judgmental. And it's really the monkey mind, this chatter, that sets up that really brings it's the discursive thought that comes with our experience that brings the judgment and identifies what we like and what we don't like. But awareness is indifferent to what we like and what we don't like. This knowing quality of the mind is capable of just showing up and being present for whatever it is that we're experiencing. And this way gives us some distance. When we view our experience this way, it gives us some distance. We're not so caught up in our everyday experience. And there's a way in which I think that we're more accepting of what is happening. So there's a kindness, there's an acceptance, there's a non-judgmental quality of the mind that comes with awareness. And this is what we turn to or connect to in cultivating loving kindness. And we need to kind of recognize and nurture this natural kindness that's part of our the nature of our mind, so to speak. And it's really helpful to look a little deeper than just the fact that our mind has this quality of being kind and accepting and loving. But to look a little bit below that as to what the motivation for that is. And in just like awareness is with us 24/7 or all the time, we just need to recognize it. This loving, caring quality of the mind is also there in the same way. And it expresses itself in our desire to be happy. You know, if we just connect into our heart space, and at any time, any given moment, we naturally have this desire to optimize our well-being. We want the best for ourselves in this moment. We want the best experiences. We want things to be a certain way. We want to be happy. We want it to be loving. We don't want to have to for our space to be invaded by difficulties and chaos and confusion and clashes and so forth. We really genuinely wish at any time to have well-being. And so the loving kindness meditation techniques help us connect to that and to nurture that connection to a loving, caring heart and mind. In a way, excuse me, it nourishes a healthy sense of self rather than take notice of the monkey mind that is continually undermining our sense of self. So we're, you know, in a way, it's like the loving kindness is an antidote to self deprivation and doubt and the sense of unworthiness, etc., that we often believe in, the diminished sense of self-worth, etc. So this desire to be happy, just like awareness, is inherent in our mind. And the practices are really just to cultivate connection to that desire to be happy. So that's kind of the technique. And the interesting thing is, so shortly, I will guide a meditation for loving kindness for ourselves. But the interesting thing about this desire to be happy, you know, it's true for you, but it's true for everybody who's here listening to this discussion. It's true for everybody that's not here, our friends, our family. It's true for even the people that we find difficult in life, in our workplace or in our family or in community at large. Every living being harbors this same heartfelt desire for well-being, to be happy. And so just as we can cultivate and nurture the recognition of these qualities in ourselves, we can also connect to and recognize the natural expression of these qualities in others. And so the first little session, 5 minutes or so, I'll do a loving kindness for ourselves, and then we'll do another little session of loving kindness for somebody who's dear to us, a loved one, somebody who we feel a strong connection to or admire in some way. And so both practices really based on connecting to and nurturing the desire to be happy. So similarly to Myoshin's instructions, let's just begin by connecting to our physical posture. And again, you can leave your eyes open or you can close your eyes. It's up to you. If you find closing your eyes, you are less distracted, then that's a good idea. Then connecting to our posture, physical presence, sitting in the chair or wherever we are, a sense of gravity, a sense of being grounded or connected to this earth, with our spine upright, but at the same time, just relaxed. There's no need to hold. Maybe if you detect any tension, you can just let go. So we're bringing awareness to our present moment experience through connecting to our physical body. And then from this place of presence, bring to mind this gentle, subtle movement of your heart that wishes for your well-being, that wants to optimize your well-being. A desire to be happy, desire to be free, to be at ease. This is a natural expression of loving kindness for ourselves. So we can nurture this expression of loving kindness by just gently repeating in our mind some phrases that cultivate or encourage, nurture our sense of well-being by wishing well-being for ourselves. So we could say, may we be happy, or may I be happy. May I be healthy, or may I have happiness. May I have well-being. May I have happiness and the causes of happiness. So you can repeat phrases like this as often as you wish. And it's not so much about, the phrase, the words express this desire for our own well-being. But it's really important to stay connected to the feeling. Let the words direct our mind to this sentiment, this heartfelt sentiment to nourish our well-being. So may I live with ease. May I have happiness and the causes of happiness. And you can just rest in this quality of feeling well-being without necessarily having to repeat phrases, but the phrases is just a way of reconnecting our mind to this sentiment of a wish for our well-being. And you can employ the phrase as often as you feel necessary, particularly if you find your mind has wandered, which it naturally will do. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be strong. May I have peace. Whatever words work for you. And so just gently letting go of loving kindness practice for yourself and resting again in the physical presence, connecting to the body or the breath. And then bring to mind somebody who's dear to you. Could be a family member, could be a mentor, a teacher. It could even be your pet, dog or a cat, some being that you feel this natural, heartfelt bond with. When they come to mind, your heart naturally responds with a wish for well-being, wanting them to be healthy and happy. And connecting again to your own desire to be happy, and realizing that this desire to be happiness that you experience in yourself is the same desire to be happy that this loved one of yours also feels. We are the same in this way. We are no different. Just like I wish to be happy, this dear friend of mine also wishes to be happy. This is a natural, inherent expression of who we are. And so with them in your mind, you could wish for them to have well-being. And similar phrases, may you have happiness and the causes of happiness. May you be well. May you be healthy. May you have peace. May you be strong. Particularly if this person is experiencing some discomfort, unhappiness, kind of adds a poignancy to wish for their well-being. It's a natural expression of our love, our kindness, our care and concern for them. May you have happiness. May you be well. Again, just allow the phrases to connect to this heartfelt sentiment. It's not so much about repeating these phrases in your mind, but using the phrase as a technique to connect to this heartfelt wish for your friend's well-being. And again, if your mind wanders, again, re-engage with the phrases to bring your mind back to the practice, the meditation. So again, just gently letting go of our loving kindness practice for a loved one and resting again with our physical presence. Okay. So thank you very much. So I don't know, again, Carrie, if there's any questions. Anybody want to write something in the chat box?
There are a few questions, and a few are lingering from last time. One of the questions is, what part of the day do you incorporate meditation?
The time that works for you. So I think it's really important to look at the way your day is structured and to find the easiest place to insert it. So for some people, if you've got family, kids, it can be, you get up a few minutes before to be able to practice. And it is a lovely way to start your day, so that can be really helpful. For some people, that just doesn't work because the kids are up first or whatever it might be. The demands are there right away. And maybe it's at the end of the day. Those are both really helpful times to practice. One in setting a tone for being present in the day, and the other also helps us to let go of what we might be carrying from our day at the end of the day. But you really want it to be what works for you. I had a friend, she was a nurse, and she found that if in the middle of her break, when she had her meal, if she went out and sat in her car, ate her lunch, she could practice then. So really just finding what works in your day.
Yeah, I love that, and I'll echo that. For me, what it used to look like before kids is very different than now. So for me, I find that if I immediately do it when I get out of bed, that's the most effective, because then the day hasn't swayed me and I'm able to sort of center for the day, even if it's just, I don't always have 20 minutes, so I just commit to getting my butt sitting for at least 1 or 2 minutes. And then often I find I feel a little more space, but it's just like the commitment of, like, even if you just say, hey, I'm going to sit for 1 minute. For me, that has worked when life is busy.
Yeah.
Another question is, do you have ideas for walking meditations?
Walking meditation is a great segue from formal meditation on the cushion into a meditation in everyday life or in everyday activities. There's you can do it. You can do it anywhere, like whenever you're walking. One of the wherever you work, a lot of us are now working from home, but you need to get up and go to the bathroom from time to time. You may need to go and get yourself a bite to eat. But if you're in an office environment, or when we get back to an office environment, if that's where you work, then again, you have to go to the bathroom from time to time. You may even be in a situation where you need to get up and walk to the computer, to the printer, or some part of your office where there's shared resources to pick up a document or something. And these are great opportunities to just be aware of the physical movement of your body. It really helps to start by bringing your attention to the soles of your feet and just feel your feet on the ground, the floor, whatever you're treading on. But then also feel the movement of your limbs, particularly your legs and or your arms as you walk. So walking meditation can be very informal, and if you're out, going to the mall or going to the shops or going for a walk in the park or wherever you're going, wherever you might be moving, then clearly walking meditation is possible. The main thing is, just like with any practice, it's awareness. It's like, what am I knowing? What experiences are coming from my body in this moment, and how can I just naturally be aware of them? And the movement is such a integral part of walking.
Mm-hmm.
And lots of sensations.
Yeah, that's great. I love this next one, and please keep the questions coming. No question is too small. Is it okay to cry during this, or does it do a disservice to the meditation by not keeping composure and a clear head?
That's a wonderful question. And we will find as we meditate that we do touch into feelings that we haven't had the space to be with, or we haven't known how to be with. And so there is actually something called waterfall experience, where emotions might seem stronger initially because we're seeing and feeling more of them. And so it is really fine to allow them to be there. And so what we do is we use that emotion to help us support the sense of presence. So it's not about getting lost in the emotion or the feeling of it, but really knowing it. And this is quite powerful. And that, I have found through meditation that, I might suddenly have tears coming down my face, and that by simply knowing that, feeling that, and really not being afraid of that, they might just simply stop as well. So yes, it is a place where we can let our hearts be touched. We can let the suffering in our lives come forth. And yet we don't want to just sit there and be overwhelmed or lost in these experiences. And so then if that was happening, we'd shift to what helps us to be present right here, right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important because we are in this time where there's so much turbulence that we don't want to exacerbate what's happening, but learn to be present within what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. I liked that one. I just are there any final tips? We're feeling a lot right now, and moments when big emotions come up, and sometimes it's anger, sometimes it's frustration. Any final tips that you can give us that can help us navigate that?
I think well-being, there's not one thing that can fix our problems. It's a matter of discovering and employing a series of skills. Exercise is obviously important. Nature, if You know, I really appreciate nature. Yash and I live very close to Highland Park out in West Bloomington. It's like a quarter mile from our door. And as often as we can go walking, biking in the park, to just be with nature is really important. Yeah, so there's lots of ways we can nurture ourselves. And first of all, we need to elevate the need for nurturing ourselves. I think that's the first most important thing. And whether it's yoga or Pilates or nature or meditation or nourishing food, find what works for you that nourishes your sense of well-being. Elevate it in priority in your life and make sure you take care of yourself. That's the most important thing. And sometimes that's really hard, particularly if you feel like you have a lot of obligation to care for others. And it's understandable if we feel like we have a lot of obligations to care for others, our family, our children, our parents, or whatever, then that can become quite overwhelming. But then it's even more important to find time to nourish yourself, because if you get depleted, then you really have it diminishes your capacity to care for others. So make time, schedule time for yourself.
I'll just add to that too. A great form of nourishment that I have found is being able to be present in my life. And that helps me let go of the extra that I'm carrying.
Yeah, I love that. And that's exactly why we put together this series this fall, right? I mean, it's a perfect segue because I feel the same way, that we all need to elevate the nourishment priority for ourselves, because it allows us to be more present for those around us. So thank you again, Edwin and Myoshin. This has been wonderful. I'm feeling more relaxed. I hope everybody got a lot out of it. Any other questions, you're welcome to reach out to me. And as a reminder, next week we are going to do a little movement. So we're going to do some yoga. Really amazing woman, Kiana Grace Frost, who's been teaching for over 4 decades. Also very experienced. There's this theme who really brings her own flavor to yoga. So even if you haven't practiced, I encourage you to join us, because it'll be really accessible to everyone. And thank you again for the time, Edwin and Myoshin, and thank you to everyone for joining. And we hope you'll join us next week.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much, Carrie. Yeah, thanks, Carrie.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Yeah, enjoy your day.
You too. Bye-bye.